Hey, it's Soul, and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, because lately things have definitely been happening on a weekly basis. If you don't mind, like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell for some common sense, copium-filled commentary, and there is some big news this week. Season 4 of Shadowlands is coming in a month. There's quite a bit to unpack, starting with the fact that this is the most advanced notice given for a patch in recent memory. The fourth and final season of Shadowlands is coming the week of August 2nd and 3rd, 1 month earlier than I had originally predicted. This puts Season 3 at a length of approximately 5 months or so. If the upcoming Dragonflight expansion is going to release by the end of 2022, we're going to look at roughly 20 weeks of Season 4 content, with 2 to 4 weeks of that being the Dragonflight pre-patch. It's going to take a bite out of all that. So that's going to be in 4.5 months compared to 5 months of Season 3, which fits with the prophecy saying that Season 4 would be considered a short season. Now this is exciting news, but also for some, it's kind of frightening. Counting the week this video is being published, there are 5 resets left until Season 3 is over. Like other seasons, certain things are going to go away, like Gladiator and Mythic Plus titles. That stuff is going to be tallied up. The Cutting Edge and Ahead of the Curve achievements will no longer be available. Now that's got raiders feeling a lot of pressure to perform, and Blizzard has noted that concern, promising aggressive nerfs to help players along, which reinforces the weakness of the current raiding paradigm that doesn't use, I guess I'm going to call it, soft nerfing systems like artifact power or titan forging, and the raid was just tuned too hard. By Blizzard's own admission, they know that the clear rates are a lot lower than previous seasons, and it's only partially because there's probably fewer people playing during this expansion. Which makes me wonder, and you can wonder with me too in the comments, should Cutting Edge and Ahead of the Curve go away with the end of the season? I'm going to get both sidesy with this, so please bear with me here. Now, in case you don't know, Season 4 will introduce Fated Raids, where each week one of the 3 Shadowlands raids will have this Fated affix, which updates the raid to a Season 4 difficulty. It introduces a few new gameplay quirks, and of course you get higher item level stuff, as if this was a new tier of content. Now, in defense of removing Cutting Edge and AOTC, if those achievements could be earned from both the Fated and the non-Fated versions of these raids, the added item level from Season 4 would absolutely trivialize the achievement, right? Like, we'd gear up from the Fated versions of the raids, and don't forget the new season of Mythic Plus and PvP are coming too for more gear. Then we would just slam the non-Fated versions for an easy win whenever they come around. Some players who had completed the raid on Heroic or Mythic early on might feel like their accomplishments are diminished. Maybe you don't agree with me, but I think that's a good discussion point. So okay, what if AOTC and Cutting Edge could only be earned from the Fated versions of the raid? Alright, fair enough. However, if the raids rotate each week, that's going to severely cut our opportunities to complete these raids. Like, imagine a few months from now when I tell people on the Monday reminder video that this week is the final rotation of Fated raids, and if you don't get it by now, you suck. And that's a pretty crappy feeling. On the other hand, in defense of keeping the achievements until Dragonflight, people are feeling this pressure right now, and it's going to boil over as the weeks go by. If it wasn't for Season 4, we would have another 5 months until the Dragonflight release, and that many more chances to complete the raid. It is a bit meh that Shadowlands will be the shortest time frame of any of the final raids of any expansion to get these achievements. Siege of Orgrimmar gave players over a year to get this achievement. Hellfire's Citadel gave people pretty much the same thing, 13 months. And Taurus gave players 8 months, and Nyalotha 9 months. Sepulchre of the First Ones is a proper season length at 5 months, but for a final raid, it's a very limited time frame by comparison. And while I appreciate the team being, aggressive about making this raid more completable, there's still only a month left. There's still only 4 resets left of nerfs, and for a 2-day-a-week team, only 8 more raid nights. And when this raid is nerfed to near oblivion a few weeks later, we're going to go back to the Fated version and maybe have that kind of bad taste in our mouth still. So to me, this feels like a lot of unnecessary work in part of the WoW team, when on the other hand, the achievements can just stay. So how about a kind of compromise? Hear me out here. How about a separate AOTC and Cutting Edge achievement for each season. A Season 3 Sepulchre achievement, and then a Season 4 Sepulchre achievement. That's kind of it. Now that's going to mean some folks will miss out on the Season 3 achievement, but that at least preserves the pride of those who did. And there's going to be a Season 4 achievement that, yes, those Season 3 tryhards who stuck around, they're going to get it. But others who have been working their asses off can still be acknowledged for their efforts. Everyone gets a little something, no one is completely happy, it would be perfect. But now I leave it to you. Like, is Blizzard making the right move here? Is there a compromise to be had somewhere, or is this even a big deal? Let me know your thoughts in a comment below. Along with the Season 4 data announcement, the team made it official that there will be a small patch of a 9.2.7, which shouldn't be a huge surprise actually. It ought to be expected that with a Season 4, there are likely going to be some changes or fixes that the team needs to put in that couldn't be hotfixed. What did come as a surprise were that there were some really significant changes. The smaller one is a new chat channel is going to be introduced to cities dedicated to advertising. In a statement, they said that the trade channel that's been in the game for 18 years will continue to exist, but we wanted to add a new channel to direct messages about the request and advertisement and services like raiding, dungeons, or PvP activities. If you're looking to buy or sell these kinds of services, this is the channel for you. If you're not interested in those, you can leave the channel and avoid the noise or move it into its own chat tab. Now that's great news. It's something that folks have been asking for a long time as carry groups got more obnoxious or bold, I guess, if I'm being nice. Now that advertising across realms is banned, I hope that this channel does two things. One, that it creates a safer space for legitimate groups to offer services, because there have been occasional reports of people getting banned for advertising even when the groups themselves are local. I also hope that this is enforced as well, as in no more advertising of this sort in regular trade chats, otherwise you get silenced or banned or something. That sort of behavior, well, really, that should be reported all day. Meanwhile, commodities in World of Warcraft will be sold on a region-wide auction house in an upcoming patch. I'm going to say that again. Commodities like crafting materials, potions, flasks, food, Vantis runes, tomes, glyphs, basically things that you can buy multiples of in a menu like this, will be linked across all realms in a region. Okay, I'm going to do one more time. People who farm materials and make regular consumables to sell will share auction house space with all of these realms. I have a feeling that this might be a big deal. We're going to talk a bit about what this means, but first, I'm glad that it's happening sooner rather than later. Like, maybe this patch will release with Season 4, maybe there's no alignment at all, who knows, but I'm glad it's happening before Dragonflight, because with all the profession changes, an auction house change like this would be pretty chaotic, and probably really buggy. This change has what I think are massive consequences, but as for whether it's good or bad, it's tough to say. The WoW economy is an economy, but up until now it's been a separate economy from realm to realm, from big ones to small ones to being heavily roleplay or not. It's being brought together for commodities and not armor or weapons or mounts or pets and so on. I think that after a really wild and probably buggy start, we should expect that the price of materials to stabilize across a region. Whether it's higher or lower than the realm that you're playing on right now, it's hard to say. The combined supply of commodities for an entire region is going to try and meet the combined demand of commodities for an entire region. So imagine here in the United States, it happens to be reset day. Woohoo. There's tons of folks, they're going to be on at a certain time frame, prime time. They're going to be blowing materials for consumables. They're going to be doing the progression night thing, or they're going to try and knock out their 15s so they can relax for the rest of the week. So basically what I'm trying to say is that on US realms, this gives a sort of general trend of, when things are going to be selling. However, in Europe, there are more time zones, and thus a bigger spread of when prime time is. It's not quite going to be centralized. It's going to be different. As a scribe, I sell glyphs and tomes. Tomes, they follow a regular trend, kind of like potions, while glyph traffic, it's a little bit random, although I can expect evoker glyphs to be pretty hot during the pre-patch, obviously. There's the question of how fast items are going to move, and will habits like flipping materials Will it be a dead practice? Because imagine trying to reset the price of an herb like marrowroot. It means having to buy out a big chunk of the 2.2 million marrowroot that's currently posted over on US realms in order to get your desired reset price. Meanwhile, any number of jackasses are going to be posting right away, making what should be a quick flip not as quick or as lucrative as you'd like. The stabilization of prices is mostly good for buyers, but for sellers, and by that I mean sellers of massive quantities of stuff, it's going to feel like we lose a bit of our identity. I myself am no longer going to be the exclusive provider of certain glyphs. The uniqueness of being a crafter in that sense is shifting away from commodities and towards more complex crafts like gear. Since gear will still be sold locally, the value of gear will still be affected by a realm population. The more blacksmiths there are, for example, the more likely you're going to find that piece of gear that you want, and if not, you're going to be throwing down more coin in order to get it. If a realm happens to be starving for a certain crafter, the barrier of entry is lower with region-wide access to materials, which gives an eager player an easier opportunity, and basically everyone wins. Something interesting others have pointed out will be how a region-wide auction house will make it easier to move gold between realms. So I can post an herb for 10 million gold from the realm that I want to move gold to. I can buy said herb on the realm that I'm moving gold from and deal with a 500,000 gold auction house fee, which is kind of reasonable considering the cost of a guild transfer service that lets you move that much gold. So it's hard to say if that is going to be a real problem. It seems like the WoW team really is less concerned about the macro economy of everyday items, commodities, and more concerned with bolstering realms of any size with materials that are always available at a decent and yet maybe profitable price. I'd argue that the WoW team is going to make that market normalized, predictable, I guess boring. The game then is all about making cool and unique items like gear for the right market on your server. What's happening in 9.2.7 is only a part of what's happening to the WoW economy. Dragonflight is going to bring a big profession revamp with specializations. The auction house will include work orders that I presume will still be limited to the realm. This will give our local crafters that opportunity to bring a uniqueness that no one else can offer because, well, they're the only ones who are spec'd that way. So I'm reacting to this news with cautious excitement, and I'm also restocking a lot. A whole lot, because prices are already starting to go up by a little bit. Now, as for your reactions, I'm curious, what market are you coming from, and do you think that this is bad, or is this the start of a gilded age? About a year ago, Blizzard was taking a beating between a patch that wasn't very well received, a massive lawsuit, and social media being social media because the bashing won't ever stop. But for some, it felt almost embarrassing to be a World of Warcraft or a Blizzard fan. Now, since then, the WoW team has been making efforts to be better, bettering themselves, being more communicative and responsive. Now, you might not agree with the result, but it's hard to deny their efforts. We've seen this humbled Blizzard hanging off the ropes, doing introspectives and making moves to be better. We've seen the hubris too. You think you do, but you don't. The Horde is waiting for you. Frankly, it's just a skill issue. But through the first half of this year, which was not full of Blizzard wins either, we have been seeing a pretty aggressive team, revealing one thing after another. The WoW team, one thing after another. A bit of a break between waiting for more of them talent trees, and then today, boom, here come the priest talents, and I'll link my reactions to those in the description. Throughout the past few weeks, WoW has been making its presence known. Like, hey, here comes the new season with our plans. Dragonflight is coming by the end of the year. Surprise, bitch, here's a patch. And here's some fresher news too. World of Warcraft is finally offering some giveaways via Twitch Prime, debuting the old transmog helms from like 30 or so years ago. Now, I've heard the arguments that this is half-assed, that WoW should have better rewards, or that, hey dude, I spent money on it a while back and now these people get it for free, which is weird. Well, you thought it was a fair price when you bought it, right? My take on this though is that this was a safe first entry. It was a thoughtful experiment because really, imagine if there was something new and exclusive and really good that was offered only on Twitch Prime. Even I would be like, oh, Oh, so Blizz is forcing me to buy Prime, which I don't even have, for like 130 some bucks, right? Because that's the only way that I can get 4 Wheels of Fury. So it just goes to show that different people come out the woodwork to complain for things that others would find heinous by principle. And the WoW team is getting bigger. Announced this week, Blizzard, not Activision Blizzard, but Blizzard bought Proletariat Studios, which produced a number of games, including Spellbreak, a battle royale variant. With them come 100 developers, and they've reportedly been working on World of Warcraft content since May, with some of their work to surface as early as Dragonflight. So perhaps gone are the days of talent just, tripping over themselves, flocking to Blizzard. Today, that company is being more aggressive with acquiring these talents. According to reports, Spellbreak hasn't been doing too great since launch, and it's going to be shut down in 2023. Being bought by Blizzard means everyone gets to keep their job, so this sounds like a win-win. Now we're in the second half of 2022, which has been tumultuous. That sounds like a good word to use. The world is being challenged again and again to where content creators who do gaming stuff like me, we end up leaking out our humanity and speaking out. I don't regret it, but really, I wish I didn't have to. I'd rather worry about our first world problems like when are Paladin talent trees coming out. But I'm glad that at least for now, the WoW team is keeping things together and taking mostly the right steps that keep me excited for the future. And that's the show. So we had 6 straight hours on the jailer, and well, I don't know what all the nerfs were really, but he's still a total pain in the ass fight to learn. And now that we're here at the end of this heroic version of the raid, I've got to complain a little bit. Like, while killing these bosses on farm, that feels okay, it feels like learning these bosses has been extremely challenging by comparison to previous raids. As in, like, one mistake means a fast wipe, and it doesn't matter how good your gear is. So my team is definitely going to finish AOTC before the season ends. I'm not worried, but in what's pretty much tradition these days, I'm going to put up what I call the bounty for my team, where whoever's with us when the jailer dies, in this example, is going to each get 200,000 gold. Sadly, it's kind of short of a WoW token, but it's still my thanks to the team for their hard work and for whatever resources that they donate. There are smarter things that I could do with my gold, right? Like 2-3 million or so has got to be enough for a carry through something, right? There are smarter choices that I could spend it on, but I think I made the best choice. So I want to thank you all for joining me today, from the beloved Twitch subscribers to our lovely patrons. Times are tough, and I fully understand why our list of contributors hasn't been growing much. Actually, it's gotten a lot smaller, but I want you all to know that your contributions, whether they're monetary or not, they go a long way, and I'm grateful. Thank you. And if you don't mind, like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. That also helps a lot. Join us for Coffee with Soul Tuesdays through Thursdays. I promise that I don't yell too much, and I hope to see you again soon. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.